Cardinal fans, this is your year. I'm going to run through a checklist, and this is exactly what the Cardinals have on their roster now, and most of it, to be honest, was on the roster last year, and why there are no more excuses as to why they should not be making the playoffs. First, you have a affordable, young, highly mobile, strong-arm quarterback. You have a Hall of Famer on the defensive line that just signed with you. You have a person who led the league in sacks 2 years ago who is coming back from injury. You have an all-star safety who literally tracks from sideline to sideline and likes to hit. And you have an all-world, top-tier, top-3 receiver, a generational talent at receiver that literally vacuums every ball in existence. Most teams can't even come close to having that lineup, that murderous row of talent. So there is no excuse why the Cardinals shouldn't make the playoffs this year. Let's get into it. So the Arizona Cardinals, last year, 2020, they were 8-8. They were 6th in offense. They were 17th in passing. They were 7th in rushing. Most of those rushing yards were coming from Kyler Murray running on like his life depended on it. They were 13th in defense. That's not bad. Vance Joseph did a wonderful job. They were 10th against the pass. They were 22nd against the rush. And that's because they play against the Rams and the 49ers 4 times a year. Their GM, Steve Keim, this is his 8th year with the Cardinals. He actually grew up with the organization. Head coach and offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury. This dude's seat is hot because the Cardinals are in win now mode. And if this dude can't win with what he has presented, almost any other coach in NFL easily at least make the playoffs, let alone make a run. But he's still 8-8 with all the weapons that they have. So Cliff Kingsbury, your job is on the line. Your seat is pretty hot right now. Defensive coordinator, Vance Joseph. Vance Joseph actually did a fantastic job. Of course, he was the Broncos head coach. He was their martyr head coach. Vance Joseph is doing a fantastic job. I think he deserves to be a head coach. He could be the head coach of this team coming up soon. So even with the JJ Watt signing, the Cards still have about $17.5 million of cap space to play with, and they're in win now mode. So I think what they need to do is win now. Their biggest need, basically offensive line. They need to fix that offensive line. The people they have were barely serviceable. They're on a bottom tier, but you know, in that air raid is all to get the ball out fast. But if you're in the NFL, you know how to coach against that. You're not coached against college coaches and college players, and not that Cliff Kingsbury even did good in college. The NFL is a different beast, and you're going to need blocking, and the Cards need to get some studs up in that front line. You're going to need a center, you're going to need a guard, you're going to need some tackles. You need a little bit of everything. You need a nose tackle. You need like some more beef in that interior. You got JJ Watt, but he is that interior end, so you can't really use him in order to just plug up the run all the time. He's going to need some help. He's going to need some pluggers in that middle. You're going to need cornerback. Patrick Peterson, long time great cornerback, he's gone. He's probably moving on. You're going to need to replace him, and you're going to need middle linebacker help. Not only are your middle linebackers leaving in free agency, but they weren't the best to begin with, so you're going to need one of those guys. And middle linebacker is actually, as I've done these videos, one of the positions that is very rare in the NFL. So you're going to have to pay top dollar for probably not a top-notch middle linebacker, but even to get a serviceable one is going to be hard to come by this year. So as I mentioned before, they're notable free agents. You got Patrick Peterson, Larry Fitzgerald. You don't know if he's coming back or not. If he doesn't, it's not that big of a detriment. You got Kenyon Drake. Let him go. Please let him go. He is one of the most overrated running backs I've seen in the NFL. Kelvin Beachum, he was one of those serviceable offensive linemen. I actually would like to bring him back because there's not a lot in the draft. There's a lot you can do, but there's not a lot you can do in free agency. And the Cardinals actually don't have a lot of picks in this year's draft. They have top level picks, but they don't have a lot of picks. They probably have 5 picks, and you'll see those a little bit later. I think that this team just needs a huge upgrade on the offensive line across the board anyway. That includes J.R. Sweezy, all these guys. You got a lot of linebackers that are going to be free agents. You got Hassan Reddick, you got Marcus Golden. These guys are gone. You got Corey Peters, who is at nose tackle. He's gone. So there's a lot that the Cardinals have to do in order to just get bodies. The kicker and the punter are free agents. So there's a lot of bodies to get. You got $17 million in cap space, but you're going to have to spend that on recovering a lot of the players that you lost. And some of these players like Patrick Peterson are going to be hard to replace. So let's get into it. Who do you pick up if you are Steve Keim? Who do you pick up if you're me trying to be the GM for this team right now? So you're in win now mode. So you're going to need to make a big swing. One of those big swings that I actually think will be very cost effective is picking up a Leonard Fournette. He just came off a Super Bowl. He was playing second fiddle to Ronald Jones, but this guy is a top tier running back. He is a former 4th overall pick that was very unhappy. He went and had to play second fiddle, but he can probably carry the load, especially if you have a passing offense like this. If you can get someone like that and match him up with a Carlos Hyde, who would be a serviceable backup that's used to playing in a spread style offense, then this team has no excuse. Like, you need to upgrade this running back position, because in the NFL, you need to run the ball. You need to be able to control the clock. You can't have your quarterback running for his life all the time, because they're always passing the ball, and defensive linemen are just pinning their ears back and just rushing like crazy. You need to give them a reason to not do that. And I'm sorry, Kenyon Drake, and as much as I like Chase, you're not scaring me. All right, so you need to upgrade that interior line. I'm thinking Nick Martin, the center. I'm thinking Lane Taylor. He was the guard from the Packers. These are guys that can help out in that interior. You need to replace your cornerbacks. I'm like Xavier Rhodes, Vernon Hargraves. There's Eric Wilson, the middle linebacker. He filled in Minnesota very well, and I think he would be an excellent addition to that linebacking core that's very young. And you're in win now mode. You're going to have to spend a little bit of money. Take a chance on Vic Beasley. There are many things that this team can do in order to win now, and you just need small pieces. You got all the big pieces. You got the Texan Tucson. You got Kyler. You got Buddha. This team is set. This team is ready to take over. You're in a tough division, but on paper, this team is the best team in that division. The 49ers, they're losing more players than you can even count on 3 hands. And then you got the Seahawks and their upheaval. And you got the Rams. Yeah, they got Matt Stafford, but they're still a skeleton crew with a bunch of great players. This division is finally ripe for the taking. As a matter of fact, if you could trade draft picks for some more players, where you can maybe trade down and pick up some players. Speaking of the draft, as far as just the no trade draft is concerned, there's Dylan Radnutz. He's at North Dakota State. He's super light, which I actually think will do really good for a player like Kyler Murray, because he's going to be able to move around. He's going to be able to sweep the edge. He's going to be able to get those defensive linemen that are shooting off the edge and making Kyler become a pocket passer. If you can get somebody that can actually get to that edge and maybe seal him off, now you can get Kyler to the outside more. You can put him on that left side, or better yet, that right side, so Kyler can roll to his right. You can get a swing block like they're like doing a zone block. Marvin Wilson, he's one of those guys that is falling down draft boards because he played for a crappy FSU team. Put him in the middle. He is a big plugger. He's super athletic for a nose tackle. He's one of those guys that would do a lot of good in this very talented defense. Brevin Jordan. This team needs a tight end that can do something. Brevin Jordan he's Kyle Pitts light. Brevin Jordan can do everything Kyle Pitts can do, it just on a lower level. He's Kyle Pitts 0.5, and that's pretty good. Like Brevin Jordan is not going to be one of those blocking tight ends that's going to block and do all the dirty work. He's not going to be a George Kittle, but he's going to be one of those guys that's going to add an extra weapon at the tight end position, and he would be a step up from I love Thunder Dan Arnold, but he's better than Dan Arnold. The Cards got to win now. You got to do something, because Kyler is one of those guys that if he's playing for any other offensive-minded coach or coordinator, they're in the playoffs day in and day out. He's in the talks up there with being one of the best QBs in the league, and there's absolutely no reason whatsoever why he's not able to get this team over the hump. And you just see him out there struggling with what's given to him. And it's not that he doesn't have the weapons, I feel like the coaching is lacking. The ingenuity is lacking. Everyone's gotten used to how the air raid works, because the air raid isn't one of those offenses that is special. That's why it never really took off in the NFL, because in the NFL, there are certain things that you need to do, mainly block and run the football, and you can't really do that with an air raid system with the personnel is needed for it. So at some point, we'll see if it works. We'll see if I'm wrong. I don't think I am. The first thing I would do is try to get a tight end and another tight end, go a little bit more 12 personnel, even maybe some 21 personnel, get a fullback. That's just what I would do, because this Cardinal team has something special brewing, and it's up to Cliff Kingsbury to make sure that this team doesn't fall flat on his face like it did last year. Anyway, that's all I got, Cardinal fan. Like and subscribe. I got more videos coming up. I'll see you guys on the flip. Later.
Murray out of the pocket. 7 seconds. 6 seconds. Murray heaves it downfield.